So this is the first video in a series about the Great Waaagh Band Detachment, which is the official name for the Orc Decurion. That came in the Waaagh Gazgul supplement at the beginning of the year. I had some chances to play with this, play around with some lists, and now I'm going to go over some tactics. And you'll also probably come a lot of raging about this. So what is a Decurion in Warhammer 40k? The Decurion name came from the first one of these, which happens to be in the Necron book. So to get the benefits of a Decurion detachment, you basically have to follow all the rules. So there's going to be a core formation that you have to take as part of the Decurion. And then there will also be additional requirements and some options to go with this. So then they have command, and office. So every Decurion follows this pattern where core is mandatory, an aux is mandatory, and then you have a command option and additional aux options. So for the Orc Decurion, you have two core choices. And then if you follow that pattern, you get the benefits of not only the individual formations that's used in the aux and command, but you also get the benefits of the overall Decurion. So in the Orc Decurion, there are two core formations. The Waaagh Band, I'll talk about that one first, which is by far the better of the two, I think. The Waaagh Band, which is a war boss, a mech, just a regular mech boy, knobs or mega knobs, or mega knobs, 6 units of boys, and 1 guard.
Hello.
Okay. And the Waaagh Band has its own benefits, separate from the Decurion. So the Waaagh Band, the benefits are the formation can re-roll roller traits. Any unit with 10 or more models that rolls 10 or more on its charge gets Hammer of Wrath. And you can call Waaagh every turn after the first. So those are the benefits of taking the Waaagh Band. So you can take this just itself as a formation, the Waaagh Band. But if you add it as part of the Decurion, where you have to take 1 core and 1 auxiliary requirements, is that you gain the ability to call Waaagh every turn after the first, and you get Hammer of Wrath on any unit with 10 models or more, no matter how far you charge. So just by taking that formation, plus an aux, gives you a Decurion and those extra benefits. Now the other core choice is the Goth Kill Mob, which leaves a lot to be desired, mainly because of the models in it. Okay, so the Goth Kill Mob. And its requirements are a war boss, which can also be Gruk Face Ripper, which is pretty good. Knobs. No options for mans, it has to be knobs. 30 units of boys, which must be 20 models. 1 Gorkanaut, which is the biggest down the side of this. 2 Dreadnoughts. I'm never going to call them Death Dreads, it's a stupid name. 2 Dreads. And a unit of cans of 3 mobs. And the benefit of the Goth Kill Mob is the units gain fear, and they gain the ability to reroll charge distances, which would be really good if the walkers had Waaagh and could run and then charge. But since the walkers don't have Waaagh, they can't gain the ability of taking the Waaagh every turn. So, and of course the Gorkanaut is way too expensive for what it does. So the Goth Kill Mobs are pretty much a letdown overall. said if it gave the walkers Waaagh, now we're talking. Something that might actually be useful and playable. So those are your two core choices. And you have a lot of auxiliary choices. It basically boils down to the formations in here plus basically individual units. So let's just say pretty much your aux choices are pretty much whatever you want. Specifically, you can take a unit of Grots, Ludas, Burnas, Tank Busters, Commandos, Stormboy, Slash Kids, War Buggies, Bikes, Death Copters, or Stompbot, Gorkanaut, Morkanaut, Battle Wagon, or unit of mech guns. So essentially, every elite and fast attack unit you can take as an aux with one of these other boxes over here. Or there's extra formations like the Air Armada, the Gorkanaut Crushing Crew, the Flyer formations, Blitz Brigade, and the Ghazghkull's Bully Boys. Which again also can't benefit from the Waaagh every turn because they can't run. So that's what the Decurion is. Why would you want to run it? The command benefits, again, being able to call a Waaagh every turn, including the first, and getting Hammer of Wrath on large units. Now, where the Great Warband Detachment really kind of comes into a different level is when you add in the Ghazghkull Thraka as your warlord. Because then Ghazghkull gets to call his Waaagh every turn. He gets a 2-up invul save, and everyone with the Waaagh rule becomes fearless. That means even the Runt Herds and the Grots, and since you only need one model in the unit with fearless, even the Grots become fearless as long as the Runt Herd's alive. The problem is the Council of Waaagh is staggeringly expensive. So what is the Council? You got Ghazi himself. You got Gaz. Mad Doc, so everyone has Feel No Pain. 2 war bosses. One mech, one big mech. And 1 unit of knobs. Not mega knobs, they have to be regular knobs. With a Waaagh banner. So you can see that ups quite a bit. The minimum points here I guess I should have done the math ahead of time. So the minimum is going to be about 600 points. We'll just call it 600. Is the actual minimum, and that's just for bare models, which of course aren't going to get you anywhere. So you're going to want, of course, the council. Let's go over that. Let's go. The council has additional rules as well. The war bosses get +1 weapon skill. Models cannot leave or join. Ghazi gets 2 additional rolls on the Ghazghkull Warlord trait table, which there are 2 really good ones. Where he gets Mastercrafted and where he gets Crusader, which adds D3 to your run rolls. Now, we have been playing it where the rule banner of the Great Waaagh gets +1 weapon skill, plus you get the +1 weapon skill for the banner, but the fact says you only get it once. So the difference is between 8 and 7. So on Ghazi and the war bosses. So anyway, here's the council loss. 600 points minimum. Of course, I always gave it where war boss have extra war gear. I gave a war boss mega armor and a lucky stick. Gave the other boss heavy armor and a power claw, and a big mech a mega force field. And the knobs just with the war banner. I just left them stock to absorb wounds, especially from like Wraith Knights and stuff. And because the Ghazi's Waaagh, even though he's in mega armor, they can still run and charge because of his special Waaagh rule. So Ghazi is an Eternal Warrior, toughness 5, 4 wounds, 2-up invul save, feel no pain, can run and charge every turn, is fearless, erects. The only time Ghazi dies is if you roll horribly or you get stomped out. Stomps are the only time I've ever lost Gazgul playing in the Council of Waaagh. But again, the points on this are so much that in an 1850 ITC list, it doesn't leave you much points for anything else. I'm barely able to fit a Waaagh band in with the Council of Waaagh. Now, the big thing about that is that if you take any detachments from this book, the Warlord has to issue and accept challenges. When you're talking Gazgul, that's not a problem. When you're talking a regular war boss, now you're talking a big problem. So, that's the Council. This is what makes the Decurion scary, playable, and when I say playable, I mean in an ITC level competitive event. But the rest of the formation is so weak, so easy to kill, and lacks significant killing power that you basically have 60 boys in small units that are easy to kill. Unfortunately, and they can't even go to ground because everyone's fearless, so you can't even get additional cover saves. And units of 10 boys, sure, you have to, because they're fearless, you have to kill every last one of them. That's not that hard to do. So there's the Council. That's one way to build the Decurion, is with the Council of Waaagh. So what else did I have in addition to the Council? I had War Boss and Mega Armor with a Cyborg, just so you would have something else. 3 Mega Knobs, 3 or 4 Mega Knobs, depending on the with a truck. And then, of course, the mech, which went with the Mega Knobs to absorb a wound, especially from knights. One of them would have kill saws. 3 units of boys with a knob, the PK, and trucks, and then 3 units of just 10 boys, and then grots. And then what I did for my auxiliary, instead of trying to come up with points for an auxiliary, I took a battle wagon as auxiliary and used that as Gazgul's ride, instead of taking a dedicated transport for the knobs, which is an option, but doing that saved me the points of having to get some extra, spend more points on an auxiliary than I wanted to. And then, so that was the Great Waaagh Band, that was the Waaagh Band, and then the Council, and 1 battle wagon ox, and that's my 1850. That's all you get. You get 6 incredibly fragile units, or 9 incredibly fragile units between the trucks and the boys. The Mega Knobs, which depending on who you're fighting, is really fragile. Against grab, they just disappear. Against anything that doesn't have a lot of AP2, they're going to be a good threat, but they're still not the Council. And then you have the Council, which is, because unlike Gazgul's unit, these are Mega Armored models that cannot run. It's only Gazzy's unit that gets that benefit. So yeah, that's where we're at. That was my 1850 list. It was good. The Council was scary, but that's all there is. The rest of the army is so fragile, gives up so many kill points, has no OBSEC. It's middle of the road ITC competitive. So that's one way to run it, is with the Council, but the tax is so huge on that, it's hard to do anything else. And the Goth Kill Mob, the other core, is way more points than the Waaagh Band. Just for the basic models, you're gonna be spending way more points on that to get that core. So it does not even leave you enough points for the Council, because that Garkanot is so horribly overpriced. So that's the way I ran my Decurion when I was playing it for the last few months. I took it to a couple ITC tournaments, and I was literally middle of the road. Pretty much broke even. I had some good fights for sure. I mean, you've seen some of the lists that I took the Decurion when I was playing 30 Warp Spiders list. But that's the kind of stuff you're going to see when you go to a competitive environment. So here's some problems I have with the Great Waaband detachment, is that they could have actually made orcs really good with this, but they didn't. Okay, so what can we do? What, especially when I compare it to like Angels of Death, I was just reading that. The biggest thing that stood out to me is that for this one, its command is 0-1 per core. The Angels of Death book, their Decurions in that are all 0 to 3 per core. And one of the commands here is a weird boy, a pain boy, a mech, or a big mech. All those guys are useful. And the auxiliary formations are okay. Just being able to take a single unit somewhere like grots or mech guns, and up to 10 of those units, really gives you a lot of customability. But the problem with this is, of course, if you're not taking Ghazghkull, when there's no way to take Ghazghkull in this except in the Council. If you could have Ghazghkull as a regular war boss in the Waaband, now you're talking. If I could take 0 to 3 odd boys, take 3 pain boys, now you're talking. Now I can get somewhere with this. The biggest problem, of course, is that your warlord must accept and issue challenges. And if you're talking Ghazghkull with internal warrior and a 2-up invul save, that's not a big deal. When you're talking a regular war boss with no invul save, that's a much bigger problem. Much bigger problem with that. So as soon as the war boss dies, you lose the Waaagh every turn. So that's a big, big problem. So I mean, I think I'm gonna call it. I've been going on a lot. This is how I built my Decurion with the Council. There's not a lot you can do with this. You can build the Council, take a Waaband, and there's not a lot you can do with it. Simply because of the sheer number of models you have to take, and you're limited to, and the points involved in the Council. There's not a whole lot. There's simply just not a lot you can do about it. So I would go. So if you're planning on running a Decurion with the Council, expect the Council to basically evaporate anything it touches, but the rest of the army to just die horribly. They really can't do much. So sure, it might sound 60 boys, might sound like a threat, but they're a 6-up save. You can't give them heavy armor. Can't give them feel no pain. And the trucks are horribly fragile. It's just they don't have any survivability whatsoever. Yeah. So that's it for part 1, where we go about the Great Waaband detachment with the Council of Waaagh. It's an amazing thing to play. Having all your boys fearless for the entire game is amazing. Having that 2-up invul save is amazing. Having a mega armored war boss with a lucky stick, tanking wounds that aren't AP2 and feel no pain is amazing. I faced 2 knights with dual Gatling guns. It took 2 turns of shooting so 1 turn from 2 knights and another turn from one of them. So that was 24, 48, 72 strength 6 rending shots to kill the mega armored war boss. 72 shots from the 2-up rerollable feel no pain, and look how searing the rendings onto Ghazghkull. It's amazing. But that's all you have, really, is the Council. The rest of the army is so borderline useless and fragile. And not even borderline fragile, just very fragile. So, but that's the price you pay for putting so many points in the Council. So that's what you should take away from that. Council of Waaagh is amazing in the Decurion, being able to Waaagh every turn from the first. There's no doubt about that. It is incredibly killing. But the rest of the army that you have to tag along with it is below average. So that's it for this first video on the Decurion, the Great Waaband detachment. Next video I'm going to be talking about building a Decurion with just the Waaband without the Council, which frees up so many points. Maybe we can actually do something with that. So that's it for this episode of Book of the Beast, and thanks for watching.